I was surprised last night watching the Fever Sun game, just how, like, emotionally invested I became in wanting that series to continue one more game.
So
I was screaming.
This isn't I want Caitlin Clark to advance. It's just, I need more. Because this has been your series for about midway through the season. You're
I want Fever Sun.
I want Fever Sun in the playoffs. This has been what you wanted in the playoffs, and you just want more of it. Not necessarily somebody to advance.
But I did realize last night it was primarily attached to not wanting Caitlin Clark's season to be over, which is so selfish of me. She's only been playing basketball since November. She's only been exceeding every expectation ahead of her since November. Girl needs a break. Put her on a beach, put a drink in her hand. Everyone's like, what are you going to do next? I hope she does nothing for a significant period of time.
She's going to Russia to play because that's what they all do.
No, she's not, but she doesn't have to. And that is, I think, something that will be interesting to track. It sounded as if from the reporting on ESPN last night that the expectation is that she will not be playing overseas this offseason. Nothing is set in stone, of course, but she does deserve a break, having gone straight from the college basketball season to the draft to her rookie season and now taking the Indiana Fever to the playoffs. But I was sitting there last night at the conclusion of the game just thinking to myself, what an incredibly special season we just witnessed from Caitlin Clark. And I was admittedly somebody who early on thought this is going to take Caitlin Clark some time. It happens to all rookies. It is the rookie experience. You have your welcome to the WNBA moment, and she certainly had those. But then in a rookie season that included setting the new WNBA single season assist record, being the first rookie to have a triple-double, having the most made threes of any rookie in the history of the WNBA, taking this Fever team, leading this Fever team to the WNBA playoffs for the first time since 2016, a team that only won 5 games just a few seasons ago. It's been a remarkable feat for Caitlin Clark, and she is one of the most fun shows on television and has been one of the most fun shows on television. So yes, last night when it looked as if the Indiana Fever season was coming to an end, I started screaming at my television, "Rig it! Refs, do something!" I looked at the fouls, I was like, they've taken more free throws. I hated who I became in that moment, but I did feel it deeply. And then to see the Fever come back in that game, they were down 11 in the fourth quarter with about 9 minutes to go. They go on a 12-2 run that's capped off by a Caitlin Clark 3 because, of course, but even within that run for the Fever, like you even had Fag Benley is hitting a 3 out of nowhere. It felt like this lightning in a bottle moment. And then ultimately, who hits a 3 right after Caitlin Clark made that to go up? Marina Mabrey. Who hit the 3 with a minute to go, less than a minute to go when it was a 1-point game? Mabrey. And that was the Suns' addition during the season to help them offensively, to be able to space the floor a little bit more. The Sun have been a great defensive team all season. Dejanay Carrington named most improved player in the WNBA. Her name was floated around. Won't win Defensive Player of the Year, but has been one of the defensive forces in the W this year. But for Marina Mabrey to have that moment, to go from earlier in the season where she was playing the Sun and had significant beef and said, shut the F up, to her and Dejanay Carrington laughing because they're about to advance to the semifinals, was quite the moment for the Connecticut Sun. But I did pour one out for the sweet, sweet Indiana Fever, who have been just an absolute joy and a blast. And it's not just Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark can be the driving factor. We've talked about this all season. But what Kelsey Mitchell was able to do this season, how Aaliyah Boston has continued to grow into her role. Lexi Hull has been fun in the latter half of the season as well. There are some really good bones there in Indiana, and it will be fun to see where Caitlin Clark goes next. But for now, I hope she rests. I hope she slept in today.
That was one of the most unexpected and impressive seasons by a professional franchise that I can think about in my lifetime. Because that franchise, I don't think people fully understand or grasp how bad they were. And for Caitlin Clark to come in there and to be the engine, the driving force to get them not just a winning record, but get them into the postseason for the first time in forever, that's huge for her and speaks to not just her game as an individual, but her game as it relates to the team goal as well. Sometimes we see players putting up stats that feel kind of hollow because the team success is not there. Caitlin Clark especially after the All-Star break, after the Olympic break, the stats Caitlin Clark was putting up and leading into that break as well, the stats she was putting up were absolutely contributing greatly to the team's overall success. Caitlin Clark makes everybody's job so much easier, and it makes them so much better. Just thinking about the growth Aaliyah Boston has had. Think about the growth Mitchell is at Hull and what she's been able to do, right? Like, this is a young team that's had a lot of success this year. And I look forward to seeing what they add in the offseason, because things do need to be added in the offseason. As it pertains to Caitlin Clark, you get up in Caitlin Clark, don't let her shoot, and you help on the drives. You put a bigger defender on her on the drives who can contest her at the rim. That makes her job a little bit more difficult. She's got to get a mid-range something. She started with the floater.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that continue to
I thought
grow.
that last night.
Yeah.
Because they were putting so much pressure on her. She wasn't looking to score down the stretch. And when you're Caitlin Clark, who did I want to be shooting the ball for Indiana with a minute and a half? I wanted more Caitlin Clark. And it felt as if she was going with a pass-first mentality. And it was a really rough last minute for Kelsey Mitchell. It does not detract from the success that she found this season, but it was a tough end between the pass, the shot, the air ball.
That's what happens when you play a team that is as defensively sound as the Sun. And while the Sun have, and especially the past, I'm going to say 3 seasons, have had one of the best teams in the WNBA, a team that is thought of as a true championship contender. I don't think they've gotten there. They certainly hadn't won one, but the defense is what they hang their hats on over there in Connecticut, and that's what happens when you play a team as defensively solid as they are. Aaliyah Boston needs to see her get a bit more comfortable taking a mid-range jump shot after setting the screen and rolling. She's there, top of the key, don't want to make a pass, don't want to drive all the way into the paint. Go ahead and take a little jump shot. Would like to see her do that, and she does do that. Some would like to see her do it a bit more. But all in all, for the Fever, I think this is a really, really successful year. And for the Sun, they've got more to do, but it's impressive to beat the Fever the way that they had back-to-back games. I know it's at home. I understand the 3 series, the best 2 or 3 format in the W. But to do still, that's one of the best teams post-break, and you beat them back-to-back games. That's impressive.
Yeah.
The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m.